Hello everyone, how's it going? And welcome to another League of Legends video. And today we got some disappointing news for Australian players, especially those who are trying to make their way to pro play in Australia and viewers of the OPL, because in an article put out by Kotaku Australia, we've learned that the funding for the OPL is shrinking by a lot. Rumors have apparently been circulating around for weeks that the Australian and New Zealand pro scene would be reduced. In an email sent in late October that Kotaku has seen, not me, has confirmed that. It's an email that was sent out to the teams and players operating from Australia, obviously because they're the ones most affected by it, but they've got to have a reason behind doing it, so let's talk about why. The email basically says that Riot would no longer be paying professional Australian teams the subsidy that they were originally granted in order to help with utilities like rent and internet. So with those teams that have those team houses that they sleep in and practice in, Riot is no longer going to be funding that. And there was also a minimum salary for OPL players, that being $10,000, which is obviously not a very large amount of money to make a living off of, but Riot also announced that they would be removing that minimum requirement as well. So there's not even any assurance that those OPL players are going to be getting paid to begin with. And this sounds almost kind of criminal-like to be removing so much funding from an entire region, and when you think about it, kind of an entire continent, but Riot actually has a pretty good reason behind doing it. I mean, just take a look at their Twitch numbers. They're barely passing 2,000 views on some streams, and on many others, they're still only in the triple digits. Obviously, this alone doesn't represent the entirety of OPL viewership, but then we can take a look over at their YouTube channel and we can see that they're not doing much better there either, because again, most of their videos are in the triple digits. But why is viewership in the OPL tanking so bad? Well, to start, the Oceanic server is probably one of the smallest, if not the smallest server in League. So right off the bat, they already have a very small player base, and in turn, that means that they have a small viewer base. To add on to that though, I live on the west coast of North America, so this puts Australian time zones 19 hours ahead of me, and for other American time zones, you know, that could put them 18, 17, or 16 hours ahead, which for me is a very bad time because I'm generally about getting ready to go to bed whenever, you know, their games are actually starting. And then for others, they might just be at work or something, so they're not going to be able to watch it. It's not only the time zones though, because OPL games are hosted in Sydney, and I mean, Australia is typically pretty expensive to fly into. For me, it would be at least $1,000. But Sydney is also an expensive place to stay, so that venue is already too expensive for Riot when they're making so little money off of it. There might also not be a Chinese broadcast option because China is 3 hours behind Australia, so if they were to get viewers, it might be from them, but they would probably be watching in a language that they can't understand because the funding is already so low. There's also the fact that, in general, Oceanic teams aren't quite as good as the rest of the world. Obviously, there's a lot of great talent to choose from, but when it comes down to it and you're actually picking players that you want on your team, a lot of these people are probably going to be pulling them from Korean or European teams, which take up import slots. So most teams are going to want to go for those higher skilled players from other regions other than Australia because Australian players just tend to be not as good and they don't want to waste an import slot on them. Despite that though, 100 Thieves did just sign a new OPL player, Ryoma, from the team Bombers, though it's likely he'll just be on the academy team. So it definitely sucks to see support for Australian professional play reduced more than it already is, but in reality it seems like a pretty understandable move on Riot's part. And while I definitely feel bad for everyone affected by it, a lot of Australian players said that they actually understood. They said it was expected, but it was disappointing. That is all for this one though, guys. I really do appreciate you all watching. As usual, I'll be seeing you guys soon, so take it easy. Have a good day. Have a wonderful day, actually. Wonderful is a good word. I'll be seeing you guys next time, though. Take it easy. Bye-bye.